The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Good afternoon and welcome once again to another version of Service Matters, a weekly radio show that talks about the good things that are happening out there in local communities and beyond. I also like to talk about the good things that people do, like our guest today. People who step up to the plate, willing to do good things to make a difference in a local community wherever you happen to live. And in many cases, to make dreams real for someone out there that may be in need. You're listening to WPRO, the voice of Southern New England. We are indeed a Cumulus station. You can hear us on AM 630 or FM 99.7. I'm Dave Clifton, happy to be your host. And I've been doing this show for about 15 years. And it's amazing after all these years how many good things are actually happening. And of course, the world's gotten a little crazy today, but we hope that we can participate in helping to get people thinking, certainly in a positive way. I would like to also mention before I introduce our guests that the 2024 Summer Olympics begins this weekend in Paris, France. The opening ceremony on July 26th. It includes 16 days of athletic competition. And of course, there'll be 10,500 athletes involved in the Summer Olympics. Good luck, USA. And thank you, all the diversified countries around the world participating. And it's a great thing to watch, and I'm looking forward to it myself, as many folks out there are doing. And I would like to take this opportunity also to thank ECAT, Eastern Community Access Television, for televising this radio show. And they are prepared to share this with surrounding towns. And of course, my guest comes from Sharon, Massachusetts, and you'll be able to see it in Sharon as well as Easton. And of course, hear it on the radio, whether it be in Connecticut, Massachusetts, or the entire state of Rhode Island. My guest today, his name is Neil Dutta. He comes from Sharon, Mass. And folks, you won't believe this. He is going to be a sophomore in high school. Can you imagine? And you'll understand what I mean after we interview him. And he's even going to interview me. The fact is that he gives you a pretty good idea of what the young people are and what we can expect in the future of our great country. So, Neil Dutta, I met you when you were a speaker at a Rotary Club meeting. Invited you to be on this radio/TV show. And he was here early today, folks, getting himself all ready. He's a handsome guy. He didn't need makeup like I do. But the fact is that you're going to be amazed when you find out some of the projects that he's been involved in. Tell our listening and viewing audience something about yourself.
Yeah, so first off, good afternoon, Mr. Clifton, and to all the listeners out there. It's my absolute honor to be here on the show with you, Mr. Clifton. Mr. Clifton, your decades of dedication as a humanitarian, philanthropist, and Rotarian has truly been a source of inspiration to many, and I'm truly glad and grateful for this opportunity to be here on this show with you and share my experiences and insights with you. So thank you very much once again for having me on your show. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I guess that ends our show. Ladies and gentlemen, only kidding. Thank you very much, Neil, for your kind words and for wearing a tie today and looking the part as well. And I was very impressed at the Rotary Club meeting. Of course, many of you folks out there know that Rotary is a worldwide organization of the humanitarian spirit. Its motto is service above self. Its mission is to do good in the community and to reach beyond to do good in the world. In all my years serving as a Parks and Recreation leader, some 40 different years,
Wow.
it has been terrific working with people. And you learn something every day.
Absolutely.
And I am kind of impressed. I was trying to think of what I was doing when I was at the end of my freshman year in high school. I'm not sure if it was sucking on a lollipop or just riding my bike. The fact is that you were impressive at the meeting, talking about some of the challenges that you are undertaking.
Yep.
He, of course, and you won't be surprised, is an honor student in high school, going into his sophomore year, and he's already been to Kenya to do some good deeds. And how did you get involved in wanting to do that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I'll first share why I got motivated to be involved in many philanthropic causes. So when I was in 5th grade, the resident monk of the Vedanta Center at Boston, his name is Swami Taiganandaji, he recommended me and a group of other children my age to watch this documentary, and it's called Little Angels of Colombia. And this takes place in Colombia, and it's about this 9-year-old boy. His name is Alvaro, and he organized a group of children his age, like his friends, children in his community. And so there are seniors living in the slums of Colombia, and they have been abandoned. So Alvaro and his group, they would frequently visit these seniors and help them with chores, like giving them baths, delivering them groceries, or helping them with daily tasks in delivering their message. And they supported the seniors in any way they can. And so after watching this documentary, it really inspired me to do something similar to the community.
And what was that gentleman's name again that advised you or gave you counsel? It was a long name that you mentioned.
Swami Taiganandaji, yeah.
That's a lot to put on the back of a jersey. But we thank him very much for finding you and getting you involved in doing what you're doing. I know that as a high school student, you probably have specific dreams,
Yes.
things that you'd like to do. There's lots of young people out there that spend a lot of time involved in sports, and not as many that do the kind of thing that you're doing that not only helps people out, and that's why I say Rotary's motto, service above self. You already have the ingredients of being a community service organizational person. I don't care if it's Rotary or Lions. In this town, they have a very active Lions Club that
Yep.
does lots of things above and beyond. But your mother and father, I know, are from India, and
Yes.
give them my regards. Tell them I said namaste. And I've been to India a few times, and as I said to you when I met you today, Ep Kesi Hey, that means, folks, how are you? And your response?
Me balo achi.
And that means?
I'm well, or I'm good.
Yeah. So it's interesting how you actually got involved in that. When you were in school during your freshman year, is there anything that sparked you, whether it be history or whatever, to want to continue to do this kind of work?
The teachers, they really did support me. I wouldn't say necessarily my school provoked that spark in me. It was just after watching that documentary, it really motivated me to help that kids. So in my freshman year, I did this program called Thai Entrepreneurship Program, and the coordinator for this program. His name is Mr. Adam Carter, and so he's a great mentor of mine and a friend, and we both share the interest of traveling around the world and learning about different cultures. So he actually directed me to his friend, Miss Michelle Stark of Matania's Hope. And once I first met Miss Michelle Stark, she explained me about all these challenges going on in Kenya and showed me some videos. And I was like really shocked. And that's, I would say, is when it sparked me to try to help out these communities.
And it's quite obvious to me that you're a guy a young person who is willing to give back to a community. And you've reached beyond that. Tell us about your trip to Kenya.
Yeah, so...
And why?
Yeah, so back in 2023, I visited the Nikasioki Primary School and the Oloriri Village with the help of Michelle Stark and her organization called Matania's Hope. And so the Matania's Hope team there in the Oloriri Village, they took me around. And so when I first looked at the houses there and looked at the different villages, I was really shocked. When I first arrived at the school, I met with the head teacher, and he explained to me that the children there would often not go to school simply because they're too hungry to go. And so, and then the head teacher gave me a tour around the different buildings in the school, and I just saw like the condition of the school was really poor, and that I needed to do something to help with that. And there were
certainly
also
a lot different than
Yeah.
Sharon High School,
yeah,
which is a brand new high school
absolutely.
that has about everything that a high school needs to educate young people and beyond.
Yeah.
I'll let you finish your trip.
Yeah, so there was no water tanks. In Kenya, it's often that there's going to be like a water tank for the community or for the school, but this school did not have a water tank, so none of the kids could get water. There was also only one latrine in the school, which is like an underground toilet. So this school accompanied for 300 to 400 students and staff. So you can just imagine, how bad of a problem that is. And so I also got to visit a couple of the houses there, and when I saw them at first, I was like really shocked. The sizes of the house is like the size of like my study room, I would say, and it accompanies from 6 to 12 members on average. And when I went in the morning, it is still pitch black simply because they cannot afford any light, and it was filled with mosquitoes everywhere. And I learned that in addition to drought and food scarcity, that these families are not able to provide a safe and effective housing for these communities. However, one thing I'd like to note in my visit in 2023 is I saw hope and smiles from these communities, and I witnessed incredible resilience from these children and their families, and it really moved my heart deeply and made me want to support these communities
Absolutely
more.
Terrific, Neil. We're talking with Neil Dutta. I know when you look at him on camera or you listen to his voice, you're probably amazed that he only is going to be a sophomore in high school. He talks like a sophomore in college, and we're happy to have him on the air with us today here on WPRO. I'm Dave Clifton. You're listening to the voice of Southern New England. Hurry back.
I'm very happy to meet with you in person after you were able to share your volunteer message during our Thanksgiving newsletter. On your experience so far, what is the message or key words you have for children in Matana's Hope and underprivileged children around the world and people in my generation?
My key message to young people, to children, to Matana's Hope is that you should never give up on your dream.
Yep.
You should never let that hope go, because you never know what happens tomorrow. Maybe you don't know, today we have it here, tomorrow we never know.
Yep.
Someone might come to change your life, to change everything about you. So keep living that dream, keep helping others, be kind, love one another.
Mr. Fanuel, for allowing me to interview today. Your story is truly inspiring, and I hope I get to meet with you sometime again in the future. So yeah, thank you once again.
Thank you to Nell to meet you. I was eagerly waiting to meet you. Now here you are, laughing, talking, sharing. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for making this happen.
Yeah, thank you. So what is your message for young children and girls around the world who have lost all hopes and
Yeah. The people who have lost hope, first of all, I start by telling them. I start by saying we should never ever give up.
Yep.
Always be positive, as I've said earlier. Be positive, because as long as you're positive, your life will become perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, I also want to say thank you very much. I was very excited to meet you. When Michelle told me about you, I was like, oh my God, when can this date 5 reach so that I can meet you? It is my greatest joy, and it is my prayer that we continue to meet more and more times and work with you to help more lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, pleasure
thank you.
to meet you.
Thank
God
you so
bless
much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome back to Service Matters. I'm Dave Clifton. Happy to be the host and to have with me today as a guest a young sophomore in high school. His name is Neil Detter. He's from Sharon, Massachusetts. And he's been to Kenya. When I think of Kenya, I think of all the winners of the Boston Marathon. And you're talking about visiting a country. When you first went in 2023, did you jump on a plane by yourself or did you go with family?
I went with family when I visited in 2023, and I will say, I did read like a couple of books, like The Shadow of the Sun, Bill Bryson's African Diary, and from books from like Kenyan eminent authors and leaders like Wangari Maathai and her memoir Unbowed, and I understood some of the challenges that the different communities in Kenya face, and the state of the economic challenges, the political and health challenges as well faced in Kenya. However, when I first visited there, it was like unimaginable seeing it at first. Yeah, like the extreme levels of poverty is like I've not seen it like anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing by you in your own little way making a difference just by being there and providing whatever support you can may make a difference in someone's life. And I commend you for that. And one of the reasons why we have you on the show today is that we want to talk about good things, and we want to pat on the back someone who does good deeds. And you certainly are in that category. I'm just truly amazed that at your particular age, the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the good deeds that you do are certainly in that category of above and beyond the call of duty. And I think lots of young people that are either watching or listening to this show today, you might be able to give them some of this spirit. Now, do you have other friends in school that do the same thing? Why don't you give them a little recognition?
Yes. So to all everyone that I know that is involved in these charitable causes, whether it be in like school clubs or in outside organizations, I want you to, keep up this good work, because whenever I felt that, whenever I gave back to the community, and I'm sure the others can relate, you get more than what you receive more than what you get, than what you give, I mean. And so it always makes you feel great just to give back. And yeah,
it's amazing, folks, when you hear this guy speak. He's got the right attitude, and there's lots of folks out there in local communities that may be listening to this show on Service Matters that sometimes they wonder, how are the young people doing with all the craziness going on around the world? Here's one example right here today of a guy who is looking down the right tunnel and doing the right things to certainly make a difference. I would like to certainly give a pat on the back to your parents and let them know namaste, kana chahe, gana chahe. The food, the music, and the job that you did with your son is outstanding. So I commend you both for what you're doing at home. You have the right formula, and some folks may be asking you for that formula because he's a perfect example of someone who understands what's going on around the world. And I've always said, Neil, how lucky we are to have what we have, to live in a country like the good old USA, the land of the free, where just about everything we need is within reach.
yes.
Unfortunately, it's not the same way in other countries. Like your visit to Kenya, you saw that people didn't have what you have. And you know what I was amazed at? When I visited other countries, they were satisfied with what they had. They weren't complaining. They had smiles on their faces, and they had the right to not smile because they maybe are not aware of how lucky we are and what we have. So hats off to you
Yeah, thank you so much for your kind words, Mr. Clifton.
Well, I feel that giving credit where credit is due. And at the same time, I'd like to give a little pat on the back to our Rotary District 7950. When I see Rotary District, I know, Neil, you're familiar with a club, the Rotary Club of Sharon. And certainly I'm familiar with all the good deeds that the Lions Club does.
Yep.
The Lions Club motto is "We Care."
Wow.
Rotary's motto is "Service above self." So I should say the Lions Club motto is "We Serve." So that word "serve" is so important, and that's what you're doing. But the Rotary District includes southeastern Massachusetts, Cape Cod, the two islands, the entire state of Rhode Island, and of course parts of Connecticut. So the district does a super job in terms of doing good in the community. And we thank them for sponsoring today's show and for the terrific guests that we have. Tell us about the young lady that you're aware of when you visited her country, and you're doing what you can to help her out.
Yeah, so this young girl, I had the opportunity to meet her. Her name is Masoni, and so she told me, so I learned about her her traumatic past at a very young age. At the age of 6, she was sold off by her father for child marriage at such an early age. However, Miss Dark and Matania's Hope were able to rescue her, and now she's been going to school recently. However, she's been facing like other health challenges, and so I'm currently trying to raise money in my community by tutoring other kids in math and science in order to pay for her sponsorship, so her dreams of becoming a physician stay alive. So yeah.
Masani is her name.
Yeah, Masoni. Yep.
Yeah, and Masoni, we love you, and God bless you. You may not hear this broadcast slash TV production, but we want you to know from our hearts, we wish you nothing but the best. And thank you, Neil, for again stepping up to do what you can to help her. Now, I know you had some questions you wanted to ask me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're going to play the role as the host, and I'm going to ask you to hold off on those questions because we need to take another break. I'm Dave Clifton, happy to host this show called Service Matters, and you can hear us on AM 630, FM 99.7, or here on ECAT, Eastern Community Access Television.
Yeah, this is the life. Just relaxing by the beach. What could be better than this?
I've got an idea.
What?
I'd really like to find a forever home.
Forever home?
Yeah, like Jack Ryan talks about on Easton News. A forever home. All those animals at the APCSM, they get forever homes. Why not us?
Listen, man, I hate to tell you this.
Tell me what? Come on, tell me. Look, I can take it. Look at me. Come on, tell me. I can take it. Come on.
We're not real.
What are you talking about? Of course we're real. Look at us. We're sitting here on the beach, on vacation, being served raw meat, mind you. We're having a great time. How are we not real? No, thank you. I'm good. I've had enough. I've had enough. Thank you. What are you talking about? Of course we're real.
Look, it's not that we're not real. We're just not living, breathing animals. You don't even have a mouth, dude.
Well, oh yeah? Well, your eyes are just plastic.
Right back at you.
You've ruined my vacation. I can't believe you've done this.
I mean, while we're at it, why do we need a vacation? It's not like you have a job.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I'm out of here.
Cubby, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Oh, well, you have to get it eventually.
If you'd like to get your hands on a cubby of your own, scan the QR code on your screen now.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I'm Abby Malafato.
And I'm
Coming to you from 50 Oliver in Northeaston, this is Easton News and
Don't have time to stay up and watch ECAT channels all day long or miss your favorite show's time slot? Don't worry, ECAT has a YouTube channel that has all the programs that we show, so you don't have to miss any of the episodes or catch up on past episodes. Search Easton Cat TV, with TV being the only capital letters. The YouTube channel has playlists for every program, even some of the programs you can download a podcast version. We even stream live events through our channel. To stay up to date with ECAT programming, make sure you look up ECAT's YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get all the alerts for the new programming premiere, and change the alerts to all to make sure you receive all of them. Remember to search Easton Cat TV, with TV being the capital letters. So there's no reason to miss any of the ECAT programming. Enjoy.
Welcome back to another segment of Service Matters. This young person I have with me today, Neil Dutta. What an interview this is. And you never believe that he just finished his freshman year in high school. And he has got a good head on his shoulders, no doubt about it. And now he's going to play the role of the host of the show. And I'm going to be his guest. And he has some questions that he told me that he wanted to ask me. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, so Mr. Clifton, when I first met you at the Rotary Club, where I presented the two grants, and I got the opportunity to speak with you a little bit before I actually presented, and you asked me where I was from, and I replied with India, and then you started saying a couple of words to me in Hindi, and so as a traveler myself, I like to learn like the language of the native language of the different countries that I go, so I can travel from place to place. And when someone from afar speaks your language, it like breaks the barrier between you. So I also noticed this when I started speaking Swahili to some of the locals in Kenya. And so I'm also curious to know, how did you learn Hindi?
Well, I had the opportunity, thanks to Rotary International, to be a team leader for a program called Group Study Exchange. Mm-hmm. And that program includes a team leader, that was myself, and I brought with me 4 business and professional people from District 7950. And these were people that had different professions, and they had the opportunity from 4 to 6 weeks to stay in another country, to learn their customs, their way of life, and to be able to share their experience from their professions. A doctor had an opportunity to go to a hospital in India, and I was actually visiting Pune, and the gateway to India, Mumbai, wow. And of course that was called Bombay at the time. Yeah. And I was truly amazed at the hospitality, the kindness, the flowers that I received upon arrival, mm-hmm, yeah. And of course the generosity. Mm-hmm. And of course it's a swap. When we get back to the States, we invite a team of 5, just like we sent, and they come to our country and they learn our way of life and our customs. I stayed in homes of Rotarians, Rotary leaders, and I was amazed. I volunteered to walk one of the kids to school one day, yeah. And I was amazed because it was 5 miles.
Wow, yeah.
I walked 5 miles to school and 5 miles back home, and we have buses that transport our students, and it's a different way of life. But India today is much more westernized and modernized, yep. And things are changing.
Yes.
But again, I say to you, the way they handled the less that they had was truly amazing. they appreciated it, they were gratified, and it was truly amazing. So I hope I answered your
Yeah,
question.
you did very well. Yeah. My next question is, what inspired you in the first place to give back to this, to have a passion of helping others and give back to the community? Or in other words, how did your philanthropic journey begin?
It began with my parents, Neil. Between my mother and father and my grandparents, showing that they cared. Their priority always was giving back to the community and serving to help others. And back then, I think it was Gandhi who once said, and I say this many times as I quote him, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of helping others.
Yep.
And I know that that rings a bell with me. And sometimes people feel like they got to make a lot of money to provide service. But I'll tell you, I get a lot of personal satisfaction from helping someone out, whether it's in my former hometown, Sharon, or here in Easton. The fact that you can do what you can to help someone out will make a difference in this world. And so I thank my parents and my grandparents for pointing me in the right direction. And that's how I got involved in my career, which was the professional parks and recreation, serving in a community. And it was more than just recreation. It was helping people in the community for all kinds of things. So I enjoyed that opportunity, and you can feel good about doing something good for someone else.
Yeah. And my last question for you, Mr. Clifton, is what are some of the most important life lessons you would say that you've learned in your philanthropic journey? Which lesson do you hold the most to you?
Well, I've always enjoyed the word serve.
Yep.
I've enjoyed the word give. And it all kind of rhymes with the profession that I had, my upbringing with my parents, and of course my Rotary mission. Rotary's mission was doing good in the community, and its motto was service above self. So it all rhymed, and when you grow up and maybe there isn't a lot of financial capacity, you make the most out of it, and you realize that it's important also to be positive. That's another word that I think is an important part of my life, is keeping things positive. And when I ended up doing this show, it's a little different than other shows here on WPRO. They bring you up to date on all the local news, not just in the community, but in the country and around the world. And some of it's positive, some of it's negative. But I do this show strictly with positive things, good things. I think we need to talk more about that.
Sure.
And I say that to the young people out there that may be listening to Neil and I today, that do the best you can to help others out. I've always enjoyed helping seniors out, senior adults. I don't call them senior citizens. I don't call them older adults, elders. I use the word senior adults.
Yes.
And they are part of the history of our country and of our communities. They have made communities what they are. And it's always good to say thank you. Always remember, Neil, the young boy who's jogging up the street. And he stops to help a senior adult with bundles she's carrying across the street. He helped her across the street. He came back and continued to jog. And I said to myself, that's another example of a young person who went out of his way to help a senior adult. And of course, all of us someday are going to reach the senior adult category. I've arrived.
Yep.
And I think the magic word that I'd also like to pass on to you, and you already are doing that. You exemplify it nicely. It's called respect. Respect for one another, respect for your parents, your teachers, the community, senior adults, people that have disabilities. That's an important word that help make you what you are. And you've already showed me that by the respect you have shown not only myself as the host of the show, but our producer. And of course, Adam noticed it right off the bat. We're going to take another shot before we come back for our final segment of Service Matters. Folks, this is a show that talks about good things. Hurry back.
I'm very happy to meet with you in person after you were able to share your volunteer message during our Thanksgiving newsletter. On your experience so far, what is the message or key words you have for children in Matanyos Hope and underprivileged children around the world and people in my generation?
My key message to young people, to children, to Matanyos Hope is that you should never give up on your dream.
Yep.
You should never let that hope go, because you never know what happens tomorrow. Maybe you don't know. Today we have it here, tomorrow we never know.
Yep.
Someone might come to change your life, to change everything about you. So keep living that dream, keep helping others, be kind, love one another.
Mr. Fanuel, for allowing me to interview you today. Your story is truly inspiring, and I hope I get to meet with you sometime again in the future. So yeah, thank you once again.
Thank you to Nell to meet you. I was eagerly waiting to meet you. Now here you are, laughing, talking, sharing. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for making this happen.
Yeah, thank you. So what is your message for young children and girls around the world who have lost all hopes and
Yeah. The people who have lost hope, first of all, I start by telling them. I start by saying they should never ever give up.
Yep.
Always be positive, as I've said earlier. Be positive, because as long as you're positive, your life will become perfect. Yeah, for me, I also want to say thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was very excited to meet you. When Michelle told me about you, I was like, oh my God, when can this age 5 reach so that I can meet you? It is my greatest joy, and it is my prayer that you continue to meet more and more times and work with you
Absolutely.
to help more lives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
pleasure
Thank you.
to meet you.
Thank
God
you so
bless
much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome back to the final segment of Service Matters. Thank you all for joining us today as we talk about good things that are happening. And I see something good happening right here in the studio. Look at a young person who just completed his freshman year at a local high school in the area in Norfolk County. Of course, in Easton, as we do this show, a radio show being televised in Bristol County. I wanted to ask you, Neil, what about your trip to Kenya in 2024? That was recently.
Yeah.
And that how you were able to help that young person out.
Yeah, so overall, I would say my experience a couple weeks ago in Kenya was amazing. There we stayed in a village called Nanyuki, and there I was able to participate in these medical outreach events, and where we provided free medical assistance to nearby villagers who sometimes travel 10 miles from nearby villages. And we set up these like makeshift tents and tables, and so these villagers would come one by one. The villages named are Tengi, Niusi, and Dipatas. And so when these villagers came, so we received like basic training on how to perform like health checkups. So there I got the opportunity to like check for their blood pressure, their temperature, their height, their weight, etc. And we would also set up like the medical records for these patients. And based on these measurements, we would figure out if they were like underweight. We'd give them certain, or if they had a certain vitamin deficiency, we'd give them a certain medicine to help them with that. And also, I also got to collaborate with this local sewing factory, and there they showed us how to sew with like the different machines, and I also learned how to hand sew. And there we collaborated with an organization called Binti, and so we sewed about like 200 sanitary napkins. And so with these sanitary napkins, it was a 2-day event. So for the second day, we went to like a nearby school and we gave it out to all the girls in that school. And there I also got to teach them like a lesson on the different concepts in like sex education, and how I also showed them how to like clean the sanitary napkins. So it was a really rewarding experience. I also had the opportunity to visit another school in Nanyuki, and I taught them like how to play like catch and throw. The soccer balls that they've actually been like damaged by like the nearby like thorn plants. So it was only so I just taught them how to throw and catch a soccer ball, and it was a really fun experience, and seeing the excitement among these young children. And additionally, in another moment of my trip, I had the opportunity to visit 3 volunteers from Matania's Hope at Nanyuki. Their names are Mr. Fanuel, Miss Janet, and Miss Yvonne. And I had the opportunity to like interview them and also learn how Matania's Hope had shaped their life. So I can talk to you a little bit about each of them. So Mr. Fanuel, he now is like a mentor and a local guardian at the Matania's Hope's Children's Place at one of the shelters. And so he told me that in his past, his difficult past, he faced significant hunger and poverty. He was raised by a single mother, and he had the responsibility of feeding his sisters. And despite of that, when Miss Stark came into his life and started sponsoring him, he was able to. He's currently now on track to be an aspiring psychologist. And now I'll talk about Miss Janet. So when I first listened to Miss Janet's story, I was also like really shocked. Her mother was like a prostitute, and she was arrested, and so she had to take care of her sister at such a young age, all by herself. And whenever she went to school, she was frequently bullied, and she had to face abuse and object at some points. However, when Miss Stark came into her life in 2010, she said it was like the best day of her life.
Terrific.
Yeah, because now she's giving back to the community. She's working at the Matania's Hope Safe House, where she helps at-risk girls cope with who have also had traumatic pasts like her. And lastly, I'll talk about Miss Yvonne. She's currently a senior, like what we call a senior in high school. She's completing her last year, and she also shared me her incredible story. And so it was wonderful meeting all these 3 Matania's Hope alumni.
Incredible stories, and you're an incredible guy. I would like to, as we get to the almost close of our show, wanted you to tell our listening and viewing audience what are some of your needs. Do you need some financial support? Now's the time to say it on the air. And who do they contact if they want to contribute? And if they're going to send a check or anything, who do they make the check out to?
Yeah, so Matania's Hope is a nonprofit organization that aims to support the children and communities living in Kenya and in the neighboring East African region. And so we help these communities fight extreme levels of poverty and provide educational and community empowerment to them. So Matania's Hope supports many programs. Our most important, we would say, is the food porridge program. And those, like, often kids will endure like 2 to 3 days without eating food, and they would do challenging task in temperatures over like 85 Fahrenheit.
So who would they contact?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do they contact you?
Uh,
or do they contact an agency?
yeah, so you can I can give you the check information where you can contact Matania's Hope. The check can be made out to Matania's Hope. The PO box is 562 in
Okay, repeat that again.
the PO box is 562 in Homewood, Illinois, 60430.
Okay, and if you need additional help, folks, just contact me, and I certainly would pass that information over to you. That's going to wrap it up for our show today called Service Matters. I say to each and every one of you out there, go forth to serve like this young fella, Neil Dutta, explained today. Certainly there's lots of hope in the world, especially when you got young people like the one that joined me today. Neil, I again say congratulations to you. You're on the right track. You're really focused, and we're going to hear some terrific things about you in the future. We're already hearing them now as you become a sophomore in high school. Folks, go forth to serve. Do it with a smile on your face. And if you're going to do something good like Neil Dutta does, do it with the dignity that it deserves. Have a terrific weekend. And folks, enjoy the Summer Olympics.